So I think Climate Challenge Fund is more than just a grant. I think it's also a community of people who genuinely care about Scotland being a world leader when it comes to low carbon lifestyles.
I think the Climate Challenge Fund is a great example of something that starts from a political ambition that's been turned into grassroots action and has got demonstrable and evidential success.
I think if you had spoken to people in 2008 and said this is what will have happened, with 1,000 projects, over 100 million invested, no one could have predicted that.
The Climate Challenge Fund has really helped communities across Scotland to try things out, to kind of create something in their own area for their communities, whether it's growing projects, travel projects, energy projects, or waste recycling and so on.
We're seeing temperature changes that no one's ever seen before. We're seeing much longer dry spells, much longer warm spells of weather. That's really hard and fast evidence of rapid climate change here in the UK that will impact all of our lives. It will impact crops, wildlife, flooding, urban and rural communities.
Climate Challenge funding has been transformational for the Ecology Centre. It's allowed us to establish our toolshed as a key component of our volunteering programme here. It's also allowed us to establish a community garden and a local food growing programme which feeds up to 100 people a week.
The Scottish Communities Climate Action Network really emerged out of a series of conversations which I think were initiated after the Climate Challenge Fund gathering in Glasgow, when a group of people who are involved with Climate Challenge funded projects came together to really set up a community-led network which would be able to address some of the barriers facing climate action. So from those early days, our membership now has grown to something like 150 members.
It's just been a really fantastic opportunity to engage a really diverse range of communities.
The Climate Challenge Fund has really helped us develop as a charity. We're really trying to address those barriers that certain people will have to taking up active travel.
The engagement with different diverse communities. We have now got over 120 projects that have been funded through the Climate Challenge Fund, and there was this perception that ethnic minorities don't want to engage on climate change, they're not interested in climate change, and I think doing the work that Keep Scotland Beautiful have done with CEMVO has showed that that's not the case.
Growing up in the Highlands, the opportunities to become involved in projects which target specifically climate change are very rare, and so Climate Challenge Fund gives these remote communities the opportunity.
I think CCF it's really helped us develop projects that can continue going forward. So like we made a reuse and repair guide for Kirkcaldy that we've now published 3 years in a row, and we're going to keep publishing. Our energy advice service started with CCF back when we first started in 2009 as a really small project in Kirkcaldy. It's now a Fife-wide project that is independent of CCF, and it works with over 1,000 people a year.
In Shetland, we needed growing structures that were robust for Shetland. We have 12 community polycrops, so we have a total of about 50 people that are growing their own fruit and veg in the community. Such a success that it turned into a social enterprise. I actually changed my job in September, so I work full-time for the polycrop company, and we sell them all over Scotland and as far as the Falkland Islands. The fund is set up in such a way as to encourage things to stay for the long term, and so projects are living on long after Climate Challenge Fund funding has finished, and I think that's a great legacy.
It would have been really difficult without CCF, even if the money hasn't come from them directly, but they've put us in touch with other organisations that can help for other aspects of the project. It would have been very difficult to do a lot of the work that we've done.
Having such a length of funding has really meant that we can really pay attention and listen to members of the community so that we can understand what it is that they need and then be able to deliver it. It really does make sure that you are not just someone that is there for a couple of months and then you're gone again.
It's been really exciting seeing what these groups are doing, but we're starting to see ones that are developing and building their project so that it does have this legacy and it can last when their funding stops.
It's not just helped people in communities to reduce their carbon emissions and become more carbon literate, but it's also encouraged community cohesion and utilised their skills and improved their general confidence in everyday life.
Mostly what we've done with that money is leave people in our community with a sense of agency, that they can change things, that they can get a space up and running, and that they can run workshops and keep things going without the funding.
It's a really important time for kind of professional and personal growth. It becomes a lifestyle rather than just your job.
I guess my hope for CCF is that it stays as valued as it is now, and can even grow as a resource to make these kind of positive changes that they are making.
There's so much that's been achieved, but there's so much that can be achieved in the future, and it's so important that we build on the success of the last 10 years to make sure that the successes grow into the future, and more communities are involved, and more people are involved.
Today and over the course of the conference, I've met up with 3 past environmental interns, all now working in the sector. One working at Keep Scotland Beautiful, one working Climate Challenge Fund as a development officer, and the other working in Scottish Government, who is actually managing the EPP project as part of the Greener Scotland initiative. So she's come full circle. So it's been fantastic to meet these young people who are now making a valuable contribution in the element of climate change.
The impact that the groups were making in terms of employability, upskilling, social inclusion, community cohesion, of course in addition to the carbon savings that they were achieving, was the big standout thing for me. I was always passionate about this kind of thing before, it's what I do for my project, but actually going out there and engaging with the projects has almost made me feel as if it's something that I'm almost an advocate for now.
Communities have used the fund to move forward in their own way and build their own capacity, which has many, many local benefits for that community. Scotland needs that. We do need more communities to get involved with this kind of work, given the challenges of climate change.
And where communities have ownership of an issue and have ownership of change, which is exactly what Climate Challenge Fund is about, I think that's when great things happen.